Hi everyone, Nick Creticos here of Nick's Seasonal Decor. Give me 1 second while I pull up the live feed on my phone before we get started. Alright, awesome. So what we're going to be doing today is creating a spring wreath, and I picked up this awesome birdhouse from Hobby Lobby, and I thought this would be kind of cool to incorporate inside of the center of the wreath. So that's what we're going to do. What I did for this birdhouse is I just stuck a little moss on it to kind of look at, kind of give it that little aged look. The moss came from Nude Nielsen, but what I also did was I also put some of the moss on a few sticks, and we'll incorporate those throughout the wreath as well. Later on, once we add everything, we'll place a few of these pieces. Hi, you guys. Alright, so just give me 1 second while I take a sip of water. So what I already did was prepare all of this stuff just to make it short and sweet for you guys. But what we have here is roughly 2 sticks of the Ficus Leaves. You guys know I absolutely love using Ficus Leaves. What I did do is I did place a 2.5 inch metal pick with my steel pick machine already on the ends. So when using this for spring, I kind of like to go a little light. I kind of like my wreaths to be a little bit more airy for spring. You guys have seen me use a lot of ficus stems in the past for Christmas and for fall designs, but for spring and summer I kind of like to go light on the ficus and incorporate different types of greens. Hi you guys. So I also have some flowers. We're working with some hydrangeas today, some freesia and some ranunculus. I'll show you guys that afterwards. But what we're going to start, this is an 18-inch grapevine wreath by the way, but what we're going to start doing is just incorporating a few of the ficus leaves around. Like I said, we're not going to look for complete coverage here. We're just going to look for a light coating and then incorporate other greens. I am hot gluing these in place. I'm using my hot glue skillet. If you don't have one, I highly recommend you use one or purchase one because I absolutely love it. It is my favorite tool. But all I'm doing is placing a good amount of glue on the ends of each pick. As you can see, I cut these ficus leaves in all different sizes. And I am pretty limited on space near the door. I thought this would be a better view for you guys, something different. But working with my tripod, my 3 studio lights, my phone, the cords, the extension cords, and my phone charger, we are pretty limited on space. And then I have a center island right behind me, so I cannot step back, but we'll make it work. So don't really worry too much about the shape of this right now. Just look for filling it in a little bit. Merry Christmas to you guys too. So I just chopped these ficus stems into smaller chunks. This is the more of the broadleaf type of ficus, so it's a little bit more inexpensive. But we are going to be incorporating some of the more narrow leaf ficus from Hobby Lobby as well. But this just, you know, provides the perfect coverage or the perfect base. Hi, you guys. Alright. So we have a few more leaves. Awesome, you guys got the pick machine. So I really haven't been using it all that much over the last couple months. You know, just the designs that I've been making don't really require it. But might as well put some use to it. You know, all of these things we could really get away without using the pick machine. But I have it, and you know, it does make it a little bit more easy to poke the picks into the wreath. So we are going to be using it. Like I said, don't worry too much about coverage at this point. We are adding different types of greens, but as long as you have the general shape. As you can see, I did work the greens going in one direction. I didn't take the greens and go like this together. I'll show you guys with another type of green. Just give me 1 second. So this is the narrow leaf variety. I didn't take this and I didn't opposite the direction, so I went all the same way. And I find that to be really important when designing the wreaths. I just think it, you know, provides a cohesive look. So now we're going to go in with some of these thinner leaves and place them throughout as well. Yep, they are ficus leaves. So these, I did the same thing. I just chopped them into smaller pieces. Some of them are a little bit longer, some of them are a bit shorter. I'm not really too worried about that. Like I said, this is going to be more of an airier design. It's not going to be compact. And we have lots of flowers and a different type of greenery after this to incorporate into the wreath. But for those of you that are wondering, I am gluing everything in place. I wouldn't do all of this work and not glue everything in. It wouldn't stay. That is a question I got asked a lot when I did another video like this on the door. I did glue everything in place. I wouldn't do it without it. You know, it wouldn't stay. Thank you. Thanks for the shares, you guys. So I am making sure that the stems, the steel pick stem is poked into the grapevine. It's not just sitting on top. All right, let me grab a couple more of these. I feel like I'm playing a game of Twister, you guys. The tripod stand legs are right underneath my feet. And every time I step back, I'm worried that I'm going to just step on it and the whole camera is going to go flying down. But so I have one more of the thicker or the more broad leaf ficus. Might as well just place that in. You know, I can save that for a future project, and typically I would, but it's sitting on my table, and I don't feel like putting that back with my other leaves, to be honest, so I'm going to be using it. Although I really can't stand all that far back, I do recommend you guys periodically stand back and make sure that it's pretty much even. You know, now we're filling in, so we do want the greens to be a little bit more even than before with just the broad leaves. So just step back occasionally. Yep, ficus. So this did come from Hobby Lobby. And we do have one more green that I'm going to be adding to this wreath in just a second. And then we'll get to adding the lighthouse. Not the lighthouse, what is it? A birdhouse. Alright. So this green's probably my favorite that I'm going to be using for spring this year. It's kind of like a variegated type of greenery. I really like it. It screams spring to me. So what I did was I chopped up pieces of this, and we're going to do the same process, work in the same direction that we have been. And that'll just lighten it up a little bit. Yep, grapevine base. So these you could extend as far as you want. You can have them, you know, sticking out. I'm going to try to do that for a few pieces, but it's not going to be, you know, sticking out too far. But that's an easy way to make your wreath larger than it actually is to take your greens and make them go more across. Alright, so even this little piece, you guys, I'm going to be using in the wreath. You know, a little bit of green here and there is perfect. I don't really let anything go to waste, even, you know, that little single leaf I just stuck in there. You know, I'll make use of it. Awesome. Yeah, so I really do like this. Why do you use picks in all the pieces instead of just gluing them in? So I do have the pick machine available to me. You know, I've just wanted to put some use to it. All of the stuff that I'm using today doesn't have to be picked. It's pretty thick. It just makes it a little bit easier to work with when the grapevine's a little bit thicker. And some of the ficus leaves that I stuck in that were single, you know, those would melt and they would kind of like warp and they wouldn't really stick. So if I was to chop up the ficus leaves into single pieces, I would definitely pick them because those wouldn't stay. But everything else, if you cut them long enough, you know, you don't have to really worry about the glue melting it. All right. So if something's standing too far out, these are wired, so I can just bend them, and that's what I'm doing. So these are wired, so just manipulate them. And doing that kind of gives them a little bit more life and kind of makes them seem a little bit more realistic. Yeah, so the ficus leaves are my favorite type of greenery. You guys have seen me use it for Halloween, Christmas, fall, you know, all different holidays, all different seasons. I use it all year round. It is my favorite. You know, I spray painted it for Halloween. I did a home talk video on that. I spray painted them and I used them in a Halloween wreath. And it's much cheaper to do it that way than purchase, you know, already black greenery. You know, that stuff can get pretty expensive. All right. Yeah, no, these didn't come off a garland. These came off a larger pick. And I just chopped them into smaller segments and added a steel pick to them. All right, let me just stand back. I see one more piece that can go on the right. And if you guys don't mind taking a second and sharing this video, let's see if we can get as many viewers tonight as possible. I know it's been a while since I've gone live, and, you know, I'm sorry about that. Just life's just been unbelievably crazy lately. But we're back. All right, let me see. Okay, let me see if I have any more greenery on the table. That is all. So we're done with the greenery. Share, 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 everybody. Let's get Nick to 100,000 by New Year. That would be awesome. You know, that would just be amazing. And I'd appreciate that so much. All right, so here's the birdhouse. It's not a lighthouse, but, you know, you could actually use it as a birdhouse. If you put this wreath outside, I'm pretty sure some bird would go in it. You know, if I was a bird, I definitely want to live in this. But, yeah, I want to incorporate this. I think this is really cute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find some pipe cleaners or some zip ties or a piece of wire and, you know, wire this in. Here's a zip tie. Let's see if we can make this work. I'm going to wire it pretty high up because it's kind of heavy. So all I'm using is a zip tie. And it's one of the thicker ones too, so this should definitely hold it. In this way, when I go to sell this and the customer doesn't want it, you know, I could take it off. Or if they want to place this somewhere else in their yard, you know, on a tree or somewhere else, they certainly can. All they have to do is just remove the zip tie, and that way it's not, you know, wired and taped and stapled in. All right, let me get some cutters. Here we go. And I'll just cut that right off. Okay, so that's the cute little birdhouse. Thank you. All right. I see one spot that I just want to add one piece of greenery. I still have some stems of the more narrow Ficus Leaves, so I didn't use all of it. So I'll just place this right here. Okay, so next what I have is some of these hydrangeas. These also came from Hobby Lobby. Basically everything I got today came from Hobby Lobby except for the grapevine wreath, but they do sell them there. But we're going to be using some of these light pink hydrangeas. I have 3 of them, and with these flowers came 3 smaller flowers, 3 smaller hydrangeas. So we'll be incorporating those as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to poke this in. This has a pick on it. Right there. And we're going to work in kind of a triangular effect today. And place this one, let's say here. Oh, we lost a hydrangea leaf. If you guys don't feel confident enough in just placing them, what you could always do is place them without glue and then glue them in depending on where you like it. And if you don't like it, you could always move it. So that I'm just going to bend up slightly. So right around there, that works for me. Now we're going to place the 3 smaller flowers. And those won't really look so big and bulky once we're done. We have a lot more flowers to add to this wreath. So here's the smaller hydrangeas that came from the same flower. Each one had the smaller bud. And always look for flowers like that, because it kind of shows the flowers in the different stages of their life. So we got the full open bloom, and here we're incorporating the smaller buds. So what I'm doing with these is I'm going to kind of point them out towards the outside of the wreath, just so that we don't have flowers all in a row like that. I kind of want it to be a little bit more natural. And I've said this in the past, I don't like my flowers shooting straight at me. Even my birdhouse, this is okay, but I kind of prefer everything to be off-kilter a little bit, or imperfect, especially for spring floral wreaths. I really like when things aren't perfect. So just bend them a little bit. So these are getting glued in as well. Yep. So next, what should I do? The freesia or the ranunculus? Let's do the ranunculus. Let me grab some of these. So these are the ranunculus. They have a little bit of pink, which I thought looked nice with these flowers, and then they're more of like a lime green, a moss green, which I think is the perfect color for spring. I love that color. So we'll incorporate some of these. These came in a larger spray. So all of these flowers that you see came from 3 sprays from Hobby Lobby. And notice what I'm doing too, you guys. I am bending them so that they have a little bit of, curves and twists so that they don't look so perfect. When they came from Hobby Lobby, they were straight up like this. And no flower really grows like that. So just run your fingers through them, bend them a little bit. And notice I am placing the flowers in the same direction as the greens. Everything is going in the same direction. Thank you. Yeah, keep sharing, you guys. Let's see if we can get 1,000 viewers. That'd be awesome. But notice that I'm also taking the flowers and kind of bending them so that they're not facing towards me. Like this right here, it's not straight out like that. It's kind of away from me. Because I kind of think of wreaths as being like welcoming, and when the flowers are facing directly at me, I kind of think that they're like staring at me. I know, I sound crazy, but I kind of want them to be, not staring right at my face. I need to get Ficus Leaves. I can do this. I know I can. I know you can too, which is why I'm showing you guys how to do it. You know, if you guys do end up designing any of these wreaths that I'm trying to teach you guys, feel free to share pictures with me. I love to see them. I see each and every one of the posts you guys make. Unfortunately, I can't respond to all of them as much as I try, but I do see them. All right. So I'm going to try to incorporate as many of these as I can, just because I don't want to save 3 or 4 flowers. I don't know one flower from another. So it does take some practice. These big ones are hydrangeas. These are the ranunculus. And then the greenery, this type of greenery is a fern, a ficus leaf. I don't really know what the variegated one is, but it's still pretty. So my Christmas decorating pictures will be posted actually on Christmas Day. I'm trying to post them on Christmas Day. I know I've been saying that for weeks, but you know, things have just gotten crazy. And that's no excuse, but you know, I'll get them posted when I can. Because I'd rather show you guys everything at once than, you know, separate pictures, but also because I want everything to be perfect before I post it. I'm going to place one more here. Okay. So I have 3 more of them. We'll hold off for those because they are the larger flowers. And, you know, if we need them later on, we certainly can add them. But now let's work with the freesia. Or at least that's what I think it is. Whatever it is, it's pretty and it kind of cascades a little bit, which I really like. And it's kind of like a creamy white color. You know, it's not that super bright white. So this kind of simulates the effect that I get from the fern leaves. You guys know I also really like using fern and how it has that cascading effect. So this kind of simulates that. Oh, let's not kick you guys over. There we go. I knew that was going to happen eventually. All right. So notice I'm also working in the same direction I have been, which is the same direction as the greenery. I think that's very, very important. But these I also want to kind of let flow naturally. So I would never take these flowers and place them up like this. You know, even when these are going uphill, I'm kind of staggering them a little bit instead of going straight up. Okay. So all I'm doing is just dispersing these throughout. Like I said, with these flowers, I kind of want them to look a little bit natural. Everything else you can kind of get away with just placing them. But for these where they kind of cascade a little bit, you kind of want to go with the flow of the flower. Thanks for the shares, you guys. All right. But I kind of like the way that moss looks on that house. And all I did was just hot glue a few pieces here and there. You know, I didn't do anything too complicated. I literally just stuck a couple pieces of moss on that house. And once we add the moss throughout, it kind of is going to match a little bit more. So if you're not really feeling the moss right now, we'll place a few pieces throughout. Yep, so the replay will be posted. I do post quite frequently, so it does get kind of lost in my feed. And we do have a lot of videos on this page. So the best way to see the video is if you post it on your own timeline. That way you can always go back to it and always can find it on your own page. But I'll also be designing a spring wreath tomorrow morning on Home Talk. That'll be 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to join me there too, you know, I'd appreciate that as well. But let me stand back behind the camera, see if I'm missing anything. These are not real flowers. Yeah, these are artificial. Alright, so I have one more of those that I might as well use instead of just save. And I'll probably stick that behind this hydrangea right here. Or actually, I'll stick it right here. Alright, so what I also have that I'm thinking I'm going to incorporate a few of are these. So these came from Hobby Lobby as well. I think I got them either last year or the year before. But I don't really like the color, this bright pink or hot pink color in it. So what I did was I actually cut those flowers out. I'll save them for either a Valentine's Day wreath or a wreath that it'll match a little bit better in. So I did just cut those flowers out and save them. And we'll just incorporate a few of these here and there. These are tulips. So I actually don't have much spring ribbon or summer ribbon in my supplies, so I am waiting on the ribbon to come in. But for this design, honestly, you guys, you can get away without using ribbon. I wouldn't place a bow. If I was to add ribbon to this, it would just be little loops here and there, hidden, as you guys can see. And no, I do like to hide my ribbons a little bit. So I would just tuck loops here and there and a few streamers coming out. And for a wreath like this, I wouldn't do anything crazy. I'd probably stick to a solid print. I mean, that's what I'd personally do. I wouldn't stick any ribbon that has patterns and flowers on it already. But like I said before, if it does scare you just placing your flowers in and thinking that, you know, you won't be able to change it or that's it, what you could always do is just take your flowers and I'm gonna have to trim this a little bit and stick them in without the hot glue and then glue them in if you like the placement. But I'm not gonna be doing that. I'm just gonna be placing them in. Alright, so that's how it looks so far. If you guys like it so far, give me some hearts. You know, I appreciate that. What I also have some of is the Ranunculus Leaves. You know, I'll just show you guys how to incorporate a few of these. I'm not going to do too many, but even these leaves I stuck a little pick on. This is where the picks come in handy because the leaves are just single leaves. And we'll just place a few of these here and there, cover up any glue spots that might be showing. And all I'm doing is just poking them directly into the grapevine. Awesome. Thanks for all the hearts, you guys. I see the hearts, the wow faces, and the shares coming through. That's awesome. But even greenery like this, you might think just to toss and not use, but you know, I'm using it. I didn't throw it out. And whatever I have left over, I'll save in a big bag of greens that I have, mixed greens, and I'll use them in another project. These would be perfect for beach wreaths because they kind of simulate seaweed in my opinion. They have that bluish color. But I'm also trying to work these in the same direction as the flowers and the ficus leaves. All right. Let's see. We'll place that one there. Awesome. I'm glad you guys like it. So let's place a few pieces of the moss, and then we'll see if we need any more flowers. So what I did with this moss is I just took the scrap sticks from the flowers that I'm using and just hot glued some of the moss to it. And this will also cover up any bare spots and add a little bit of color to the wreath. So this moss did come from Nude Nielsen. I have a huge bag of it and I use it a lot for the spring. And this kind of ties in that mossy look from the birdhouse. I kind of like my birdhouses to look a little bit more aged. So I'm placing this moss, it kind of makes it look a little bit older. Or as if it's been sitting in your yard for a while. So even that little piece right there, you might not be able to see it all that much, but if you stand from the left-hand side, you see it, you know, pretty nicely. And that's a good point too, is to always stand back and look at your wreath from different angles. You know, my brother's 6'2", 6'3". You know, I'm not even close to that. So he obviously looks down on the wreath. And, you know, you can have a beautiful wreath from the front, but if, you know, my brother was looking from the top and sees a pretty bare wreath, he won't think it's as beautiful as we do, us short people. All right, so let me step back, see if I see any spots that I want to add a piece or two. But I don't know how well this is picking up on camera, but I really like the little bit of moss that's showing. It's kind of peeking through. All right. Yep, pick machine. So I see one more spot where I could add a flower or two. I have some of these larger ranunculus left. I'm going to place this right here. But, you know, feel free to play around with it, mess around with the wreaths. So what I did for this, let me show you guys. This came from a larger bush. I don't like the leaves on this. I kind of find them to be a little fake. But all I did was I pulled down the greenery. I trimmed off the flower. And then I cut that hot pink flower off. I didn't like it for this project. I do have a little bucket full of them. You know, I do save them. But I didn't like the leaves for this. I kind of thought it was kind of cheap. So let me cut 3 of them just to show you guys. And then I cut the hot pink flower off. Yep, so you can find all of this stuff online. You know, for the most part, these flowers are in the year-round section. The only thing that were seasonal were probably the tulips. But everything else you can purchase year-round. So if you want to make wreaths now, like I'm doing, they have them. Oh, did I kick you guys again? I'm sorry. There we go. Or you could go in store and find them. You know, they have all different colors. You know, if you wanted to make it purple, they have purple flowers. If you wanted to make it yellow, they have yellow flowers. Here's some other flowers that we're going to be using tomorrow in a tutorial on Home Talk at 10 a.m. They have some Siberian iris, some lilacs, These are called billy balls, and then we have some of the variegated foliage again. But I personally prefer this color over the pink for spring. I really like this, the darks with the lights, and I really like lilacs. But yeah, you know, feel free to mess around with it. Like I said before, if I was to add ribbon to this, I would probably just add single loops. Like this. Here's just a single loop from another project. I would probably just tuck them in. Let me find a spot. With a pick like this. And then weave your ribbon streamers around. So that's kind of hidden. I mean, I'm not really messing with it all that much, but it's kind of hidden just so that you see the ribbon, but it's not in your face. But for this design, I'm going to keep it plain. I'm going to keep it simple and not add any ribbon, but you certainly can. All right, you guys, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Let me just move. How did you hang the church birdhouse? So once I post this, you'll be able to see it from the beginning, but I just used a, what are they called? I completely forget what they're called. A zip tie. But yeah, I hope you guys like that. You know, very simple, very easy. Some lady that was on here earlier said that she can feel like she can make it. You know, you certainly can. It's very easy, and I know you guys can do it. Alright, you guys, thanks for watching, and if you guys don't mind sharing this video, I appreciate it. It gets my name out, and, you know, I really love you guys joining me on creating the wreaths like this. Alright, everybody, have a great night, and I'll see you guys all soon.